Hello, 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 and welcome to My Empty Hands, the podcast about Kempo and the martial arts and whatever else I feel like talking about. Uh, I am excited. This got a big day today. I've been recording with lots of great folks, and I have another great folk and Kempoist with me today. So, Ted Tomeski. And did I probably butchered that again? But uh,
You said it fantastic.
alrighty. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to have you on. Thank you for taking the time to be on here, and we're gonna get into your story just a little bit. Um, I
Okay.
always
It's a
kind of
pleasure.
start this off with my background. I like many Kempo folk saw the Perfect Weapon back in the '90s there, and saw it and said, "Man, what are they doing?" And I remember seeing the sign that said Kempo Karate, and I was like, "All right, I'm there. We're doing this." So, me and a best buddy of mine in Southern California, we found a Kempo school. Is known at the time as the Chinese Kempo Federation. Now it is Sweet Pete's Martial Arts Academy, and got started there. The curriculum there, or I guess our lineage, is through the Tracy lineage. My instructor, Pete Salas, his instructor was Orned Chicken Gabriel, and previous to that was Dick Willett. So that's the trajectory of my original school. I trained there until about halfway to my third brown, and then I left for the army. While I was in the army, I got to do some taekwondo and some hapkido and some boxing, and didn't unfortunately didn't get back to kempo until 25 plus years later. During that time, though, I kind of worked on my own thing for a little bit, and then I got involved in capoeira, and been doing that for coming up on 17 years, I guess, as of this recording next month. So been pretty excited about that. But I always kept my love for kempo, and once I found a school that I liked out here in the Dallas Fort Worth area, I jumped right in and slapped back on the white belt, which at first I was a little bummed about having to start over again. But at the school that I'm at now, it is a Ed Parker American Kempo lineage there. So my instructor trained under Larry Tatum for some time. So kind of a new curriculum, and just enjoying that. As of this recording, I'm about 2 months into my green belt, so just really having fun with that. I've also started in the instructor program at my school, so excited to do that. While I was doing capoeira, I essentially took over a group, or inherited my school, my group. So I did get to do some teaching in that aspect, but the teaching kempo part is rather new to me. So I'm excited. I got to teach my first adult class a couple of weeks back, so excited about that, and just helping in and helping out and digging in, and so yeah, I'm just excited for what's coming next, and look forward to all the knowledge that I'm getting from all the great teachers and artists that I've been speaking with. So yeah, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And yeah, now I'll turn it over to you. If you could just fill me and the listeners in on how Kempo found you, how you got started, and we will just kind of take it from there.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. And I think it's great that you're in the instructor program. You're going to
Oh
love
yeah.
it. There's nothing you like I tell people you can know your techniques when you're being promoted to your different belts, but you can know your techniques. And when you really know it, you teach. And you'll find yourself as you start to get better at teaching, you'll have a question and you'll answer your own question, which is kind of funny. So, congratulations on that. I think that's
Thank you.
fantastic. As far as my journey, yeah, I was a young kid. I've been studying for 52 years. I started at the age of 7. My uncle, when I was a young kid, he had studied Taekwondo in the Philippines and used to teach on the naval base. And we would go over to his house every now and again for holidays. And I always saw pictures of him like flying through the air doing side kicks and breaking bricks. And, as a young man, you're like, wow, this is the coolest thing ever. And I always wanted to do that. Well, go forward a little bit from there. And all of a sudden, one day, my mother and sister, of all people, Mary and Kathy, they turned around and they came walking in our house wearing a gi. And I was like, what the heck is this? This is really cool. Well, the school they signed up with was a Kempo school in the local area. And they were doing like, 5 lessons for, X amount of dollars to give you an intro course, basically. And after the second lesson, they're like, this isn't for me. Would you like to finish the lessons? I said, absolutely. So I went in for my lesson, and I swear, the minute I learned my first technique, I was hooked. I said to myself, I am going to definitely do this. And the funny thing is, they used to say, like on the fourth or the fifth lesson, they would give you an evaluation of like, how you were doing. And uh, I had said at the time, I'm like, well, I'd like to get to, a black belt. I'd like to become an instructor. I would also, I heard that at that time from what the instructor told me, at third degree, you were considered a master. And the gentleman who owned the school was a seventh degree black belt. And I didn't at that point even know it went higher than that. I was impressed to see all the stripes. And I'm like, well, I guess to get to there. Well, the funny thing of this story is fast forward a bunch of years later, I was a black belt at the time. Uh, I was managing the schools for this instructor at this time, and they actually found in a box the original technique sheet with what the instructor
Oh,
said.
wow.
And the funny thing is, when they flipped it over, they said, Ted has a lot of talent. I think he has the potential to go far, but I give him 3 months because he set his goals too high.
Mm.
Because, of course, I said instructor, blah, blah, blah. Now, here we are 52 years later, 10th degree black belt, trained with Al Tracy, Joe Lewis, and Ed Parker. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. It's just, I found it like a little bit of an irony because I was the kid who came from nowhere who just happened to fall into meeting these
Mhm.
legends.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? And becoming friends with these people. That was the cool part about it. So that's how I technically got into the martial arts because my mother and sister didn't want to take the last 3 lessons, and here we are
Yeah,
today.
I find it so funny. So many of the people that I've talked to, and just many of the kind of well-known martial artists that I know about, uh, a lot of them kind of fell into it, or and not only got in it and excelled, but they made it their life, or they made it their career. And it's always funny to me to see someone that's like, oh, like I wasn't even gonna go to the class, or you know I just happened to walk in. I'm forgetting who told the story, but someone mentioned that they were escorting a young lady to a class, and she saw them kicking and punching each other, and she was like, "Oh, I'm. This is not for me." And she didn't even take the class, and she ran off. And the instructor grabbed this gentleman and pulled him into the class, and was like, "Okay, well, you're taking this class." And next thing many years later, he's a well-known instructor, and probably the internet and he are probably going to go crazy when they hear this. That I can't think of who it was at the moment, but I will go back and look and kick myself a few times for that. But yeah, so that. So can you talk about that first school and first instructor and just kind of the early
Yeah, yeah.
days?
The first instructor, it piqued my interest, and as time went on and I became an instructor, then I ended up meeting Al Tracy in person, and I was like, "Wow, this is cool. How many people actually meet the head of the system?" You know, uh, and became friends. He was a great guy. I mean, what more can I say? He was a
Mm-hmm,
legend.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then I ended up leaving that school and training with him for, gosh, years, just years. And then I had the opportunity to, meet and work with Ed Parker, the grandfather of Kempo. It didn't get any better than that. He was a fantastic guy. And then Joe Lewis, who was the head of Tracy's karate. He was like in charge of all the fighters. He was a legend. We all know Joe Lewis. I had said to myself, I'm like, boy, I'd really like to meet this guy one day. And he had a seminar, and I bumped into him at the seminar, and he saw my gi. I had the Tracy and the Parker. So we started talking, and he started asking me different techniques, and I was firing them off, doing them in front of him. And this was the greatest honor that I had. Is like all of a sudden he looked at me and goes, "No, you're telling the truth. You know what you know, and you're good, and what have you." He goes, "I'm teaching this seminar, and I could need a helping hand. Would you do this with me? Because I need somebody who can help me with all." There was probably 60 people at this seminar. So, I mean, first impression, it's like, holy cow! Not only do you meet this living legend, but then you turn around, you get asked to be part of training with him, and then it turned into a really nice friendship. He was a wonderful guy, just a wonderful guy, and I had him out to the school many times, and that man could
Oh
fight.
yeah, oh yeah,
That man could fight. So I've had a very blessed
yeah.
martial
I
arts career.
feel
Like I said,
like
I've
maybe he doesn't.
being a young man,
I'm sorry.
being a young man who really didn't know anybody, just being a nice person, and I do believe honestly that being a nice person pays off. I fell into knowing these men, and I'm grateful. I am totally grateful because they turned me into the man I am today.
Very nice, very nice. Um, yeah, can you talk a little bit about working with Joe Lewis? Even though he's definitely a legend, I feel like maybe he doesn't get mentioned as much as he should. So you maybe have a story or two that you could tell about what it was like working with him and kind of how that all went down.
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah. Funny thing is, I had him out to the school numerous times, but the first time I had him out to school was kind of funny. Turned around, he did the seminar, and then we all went out to dinner afterwards. And then we were finishing up dinner. It was later in the evening, and all of a sudden he looked at my wife, Michelle, and was like, "Michelle, I'm going to steal Ted for a while. We're going to be gone for a couple hours. We're going back to the school." Of course, I'm not going to tell Joe Lewis no. I'm like, "Absolutely, man. This is great." So we go back to the school, and we put on pads, and we fought for 3 hours. And I'll tell you what the funny thing of this, and I'm not. There was a gentleman who I had learned to fight from, and he was really good. He was on the tournament circuit. He was one of the best fighters I knew, and I could never hit him with a back knuckle. And the funny thing is, I turned around, and after working with Joe Lewis, him and I the following week we got together and we were going to spar. Well, all of a sudden, I blasted him with the back knuckle. And you could see the look in his eyes like, where did that come from? Because I could never hit the man with this. And I was a pretty good fighter. I was no slouch, but, hey, it is what it is. And then I hit him with a second one. And finally, he's like, okay, stop. He's like, stop. Where did you get this from? And I said, well, Joe taught me this. And he goes, Joe who? I said, Joe Lewis. He goes, You know Joe Louis? I'm like, I've known Joe Louis for a long time. I said, he was here last weekend, and we were fighting for 3 hours. So I guess what I'm trying to say is what it really comes down to, and I do believe this. El Tracy, Ed Parker, and Joe Louis always said the same thing. If you want to become a better martial artist, if you want to become a better fighter, fight people better than you because it pushes you to that next level. And boy, did they teach me lessons. And I'll tell you what, I am grateful for that till this day because, like, again, it turned me into the martial artist I am today. And I'm very blessed, very blessed.
Very nice, very nice. So, in kind of the same vein, I think the Tracys maybe don't get mentioned as much as, I don't know. Maybe I would suspect. So, yeah. Can you share a story or two about working with Al Tracy and
Oh yeah, L. Tracy. I mean, phenomenal martial artist. Of course, we all know the head of the Tracy system. Uh, yeah, when I actually one of the for years, him and I had talked about the legendary checkered gi,
mm-hmm,
and I went down to Kentucky to test for my third degree black belt. And Al told me he's like, I went down there with a bunch of my black belts, and we were talking always about this legendary gi because at that point, I even over the years, I had never seen one except in
mm-hmm,
pictures. And I was testing for my third, and this was a very big honor with Alf to me. Is he came out with the checkered gi? It was his checkered gi, and he said, "Put this on," and I'm like, "Oh no, wait, come on, I can't do that, man. This is your gi." He goes, "No, put this on." He goes, "You're testing for your third, for your master's belt." He goes, "We've talked about this for so long. I feel you deserve to wear this." So when I tested for my third and passed, thank goodness, uh, I was wearing El Tracy's checkered gi top, and I mean, talk about the greatest honor in the world. Just he was a good man. He listened to you.
very
He was open minded, and a very patient man, also, I must say. But it was a shame. It's a shame to look back now at my age, and you had all these living legends like Ed Parker, El Tracy, Joe Louis, and they've all passed on. So it's our generation, like myself, my main guy, Steve Fitzgerald, and Ed Parker Jr., Jeff Speakman, Mark Tracy, Al's son, to carry on the torch and keep that living legacy going. So and the nice thing too is once Al had passed, Mark, his son, who's a great guy, took over Tracy Karate Worldwide, and I like he's got an open door policy just like his father did. If you call the number on his website, he literally picks up the phone just like Al used to do, and they'll spend time on the phone with you and talk you through things and help you out and let you pick up their brains a little bit. It's just he's a phenomenal guy. So I'm very proud to be with Tracy Karate Worldwide. A few years ago, Mark actually made me the director of marketing and public relations for Tracy Karate Worldwide, and I'm very proud of that fact to be part of that whole situation. And what as a personal goal myself, what I really feel proud of is I started with the Tracy system, and I got to my 10th degree black belt, which we all know is the highest rank you can achieve in Kempo, and I finished with Tracy's, which I think is fantastic because many people don't ever reach that rank, but with perseverance and just a lot of very dedicated hard work. I mean, I never thought in a million years I would achieve this goal, and I did, and I'm very proud of the fact, and I'm very proud to represent Tracy Karate Worldwide. It's fantastic. It's an honor. It truly is.
fantastic. I like that, and to be able to stick with it and keep keeping on, keeping the flame going and keeping the lineage and the training. uh that's big. So for me, I started at this Chinese Kempo school, and when I got back into Kempo, my initial plan. Oh, sorry, dogs. Dogs are out there. So um,
I
when
got one too.
I
Gotta love them.
um, when I got back into Kempo, my kind of original plan was to go back and quote unquote finish my training and get my black belt. And Plans have changed a little bit now that I, have a lot of things on my plate and a new, and also working on a new system. But I still work on my previous material. Uh, for those listening, you won't be able to see it on the video, but I have my old training book here. Um,
Nice.
so that I still don't want I don't want to, even though I'm on a different version of Kempo, I don't want to jettison my old training, and so I still work on the techniques and the basics and forms and whatnot. uh, I got in touch with my original instructor, and he's helped me out in refreshing my knowledge, and so it feels good to keep those things alive as the art evolves and changes and whatnot. It's still good to be able to hold on to uh, the things that I learned as I was coming up. So
No, I think it's very important to keep up with it because it's knowledge. A lot of people will say to me, even though I am a Kempo guy, I mean, I have dabbled over the years in Goju Shirai and Taekwondo, things to that effect, just because I was curious, Aikido, Jiu Jitsu, just, it's a curiosity. I always kept Kempo as my main style, but I think it's important to look what else is out there because knowledge is power. I don't care if it's in the martial arts or if you're going to college. Knowledge is power, and it's interesting to see what is out there. I think that's very important. So yeah, keep up the good work. I think that's great that you keep up on all your stuff. That's fantastic.
excellent. Plus, so I have to tell this story of when I started at the school that I'm currently at. I was, I mentioned that I was a little bummed about starting over at white belt, but I was excited to be training again, and I was like, well, I don't want to start over, but I can't wait to work my way back up, and I get to green belt and can start doing my favorite form, and then get the opportunity to learn one of my other favorite forms. And I was like, I can't wait to get to do book set and tiger and crane. And then my
Mhm.
instructor's like, oh, we don't do those in at our school. So
Oh
that's not
wow.
in the American Kempo curriculum. They don't do book sets and tiger and crane. So I was like, oh no, like, that's what I was
Yeah,
looking
I'm
for.
surprised because they are just amazing. Those are like two of my favorite katas to do. They're just
Yeah.
beautiful. When they're run right, they're
Yeah.
beautiful.
So I went ahead and I'm glad that I got back in touch with my original instructor, and I got videos and I got his assistance in getting back up to speed on those forms. So, well, book set at least. I, I wasn't yet a brown and black belt to get to Tiger and Crane, but when I
Right.
recorded an episode with him, I did tell him that we're gonna have to work out a way for me to go back and learn Tiger and Crane, so I can have that in my toolbox. But book set, I still do probably at least a couple of times a week, just because I love doing it and it's fun, and I don't want to forget it again. So,
No, I understand. I understand. Very. One other quick story with Al
of
Tracy, if it's
course,
all
of
right.
course.
It's interesting to see how things transform, and from what I understand, he's actually done this over the years with a few people that I have met over the years. Uh, Used to have him out, of course, a million times to do seminars at the school and what have you, and he used to have on the end of his belt these the Tracy logo, the T with the dragon
Hmm.
wrapping around it, and he had it on both ends of his belt. It was the coolest thing I ever saw at the time. Back then you didn't see a whole lot of embroidery for like unless it was something like Nike or something. And he did the seminar and he sat down in my office with myself and some of my higher black belts, and he looked at me and he's like, "Ted, I want to send you a message here." I'm like, "Okay, what's up, Al?" And he kept taking the two T's and saying Ted Tomeski, kind of flinging them around. And he goes, "Do you understand what I'm saying?" I'm like, "Al, I truly don't understand what you're saying." I said, "I'd like the T's. I would love to know where you got them done because I'd like to put them on my belt." And he goes, "No." He goes, "Ted, I'm going to be honest with you." He goes, "I want you to take the time and start an organization, a Kempo organization." He says, because in Chicago at the time, there were very few people. It was basically myself and Lee Wedlake back in the day. And then when Lee went to Florida, it was basically myself in that local area. And he said, there's a lot of instructors who either maybe passed away. There's a lot of leaves in the wind, is the way he put it to me, as far as students that are looking for a place to go. And he said, I started an organization. And this was 37 years ago. My organization's been around for 37 years ago, the Chicago Kempo Karate Association. Um, that was all started because Al Tracy told me to do it with his blessing. And I thought that was fantastic. And back in the day, when you're a young man, you don't think anything about it. But it's been around 37 years, and it's a very credible organization. We're involved with Gary Lee with the Sport Karate History Museum, and I mean, we have black belts from Canada to Florida, from New York to California. I have a student who was teaching for a while in Hawaii, and I am actually have two affiliated schools under the organization in Spain, and under Antonio Sanchez, and he's a wonderful guy. uh, it really turned into something more than I thought. A young man coming from, like, out by us, not that you'll know the areas like Tinley Park, Richmond Park, small little area, and it turns into something so big and recognized even by the Sport Karate History Museum. I mean, that's pretty impressive, at least to me it is. It all was because of Al Tracy. And the funny thing is, with Mark, his son, Mark Tracy, who's the head of Tracy Karate Worldwide, he's even part of it and backing it. So, I mean, it's amazing on how, when you meet the guys at the time, I'll call them living legends at the time, for lack of a better term, how they inspire other younger people to say, hey, carry on. Because he even said to me, he says, I want you to do this. He said, because Ted, the problem with grandmasters is they think they're going to live forever. And the one thing they always forget to do is say, hey, if something does happen to me, you know, blah, blah, blah is taking over with my blessings. And what happens is when they pass away, everything kind of splinters because everybody claims to be the powers of that be, for lack of, again, a better term. And he changed my life. And I got to say, again, being that I knew these three living legends, every single one of these men changed my life. And I'm so proud to represent Kempo. It's fantastic. And even my co-founder of CKKA, Steve Fitzgerald, he's a grandmaster, also 10th degree. It's We try to represent our system to the best of our abilities, and we're open to everybody. So I think it's really cool that you can tell actually a story of somebody who was the head of a system who actually changed people's lives. I think that's pretty cool.
Very nice, very nice. So we talked about two of the big three. So we have to mention Mr. Ed Parker. So do you have any stories you can share with your time with Ed Parker?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm very grateful to Lee Wedlake. He actually introduced me to Ed Parker, and when I had met him, we were at a seminar, and at the time I was with L Tracy, and he saw the patches, and I had a bunch of my students, and we went through the entire seminar, and he actually took the time to come to myself and my students and spend time with each person individually. And I don't know if you ever had the opportunity to meet the man. When he walked into the room, he was a force to be reckoned with. He was a presence. When he walked in, you knew he was the real deal. You know what I'm saying? And I'll just make it a very quick story. At the end of the seminar, when we were done, everybody was wrapping up, and all of a sudden somebody touched my shoulder. I turned around, it's Ed Parker. And he said to me, he's like, Ted, he goes, I just want to say, he goes, I really love the fact of your open mindedness. I know you're with Al, because Al Tracy was one of his main students, in case you didn't know that. back in the day. He goes, I think it's just impressive that you want to see what we're doing. And I looked at him and I laughed and I'm like, you're the grandfather of American Kempo. You are the man who brought it to the mainland. That my I was happy the man touched my shoulder at that
Oh
point. You
yeah.
know what I mean? Uh, but and then one of the honors he did give me is he asked me to stick around because he had promoted Lee Wedlake to the time. I don't remember if it was sixth degree or seventh degree, but he actually had me there and my guys there to witness his promotion. And then he explained the whole idea behind why they do the kick to the abdomen and things to this effect. Uh, it was very impressive, very impressive. But that was my first impression in meeting with Ed Parker. It's just he was a very kind man and very nice. He was a very nice man. So it's just it was fantastic. I don't have enough good words to say about him. He was the guy who started it all.
Yeah,
Started it
no,
all.
that definitely falls in line with everybody that I've talked to that has known him and got to spend time with them. Also, you know, definitely getting that feeling. Reading lessons with Ed Parker, the book that Lee Wedlake wrote. Uh, yeah, you definitely get that sense of the kind of person that he was, and uh, yeah, everybody that got to be around him and learn from him or just spend time with him, that was really an honor. Uh, so yeah, that's great that you had your experiences with him and something that you can keep with you for forever and then share it to folks like us that unfortunately I started Kempo after he passed, but just being able to connect with those that knew him, that's huge. So
Well, one of the things is you always see this with actors, and people say, "Be careful. Do you really want to meet your heroes?" You know what I mean? Because you're going to be disappointed. And the irony with Kempo, and maybe it's because of the Kempo training, it makes you a very down to earth, open mind person. And like yourself, being in the martial arts for so long, it's just not studying to be a black belt. It's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle to learn, to grow. And when you meet these people and you find out they were truly just good, down to earth people, it's really nice to know. It truly is. It truly is. That's like I had said with Antonio Sanchez in Spain, where I'm affiliated with him. Uh, I had asked him. I said, "Did you ever have a chance to meet these guys?" And because he's a Kempo man also, and he said to me, he says, "No, the problem is being we were out of the country, we never had the opportunity to spend time and meet these individuals. We only can live like with the stories that are being told by people who knew them." So I think that's a pretty cool fact for myself personally, that I can actually talk from the heart and be like, no, I knew these guys. They were wonderful people, friends with them. It's just a fantastic thing. Fantastic thing.
very nice. So the kind of Tracy lineage. There was many of the Tracy black belts that were known for being pretty fierce competitors and whatnot. What was your kind of experience in did you do much competing or
Yeah, back in the day, I actually fought quite a bit. I did a little bit with the tournament circuit, but a lot of it was more getting together with like different school owners in the local area and fighting with them. And I loved it. I had a lot of fun with it. It was fantastic. It really was.
excellent, I like it.
I miss it, but being 59 years old now, you don't get in the ring too often anymore. As much as I do still enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I still got some years to catch up to you, but I'm feeling it already. So yeah, I like it. So uh, now that I have started on the instructor's journey, um, can you maybe talk about some your one kind of your early experience with teaching. So you mentioned that kind of right from the get go you were interested in being an instructor and whatnot. So one, can you speak about your early teaching experience, and then advice, tips for someone like me that is starting their instructor journey. Uh,
Absolutely, absolutely. It's funny in the very beginning when you start teaching, you're actually just showing exactly what you learned, like verbatim of your instructor. And I'm sure you've seen this also. You can tell if there were five different people in a room which instructor these people studied with because they develop their mannerisms, their little quirkiness type of things. And I think what's fun is after you've been teaching even for 6 months, you develop your own personality. And what is neat about it is, like I said earlier, even back in the day, Al Tracy had said to me, you can know your techniques and, say, get your green, your brown, your black. But when you teach, you know your techniques. You get the ins and outs. You understand how the nerves and the pressure points and the joint locks really work. And you will find yourself going to your instructor, hey, what about this? And then you say, oh, never mind. I figured that out at my own head. You really start to thrive and become your own person is what it is. And every instructor, as I'm sure you've seen, has their own little quirks, for lack of a better term, because they're comfortable. Uh, Teach as much as you can. If you truly want to become a very, very good martial artist, the key is to teach. I know a lot of people say, I don't want to do this. If you do this, it really turns you into, changes your whole attitude. It changes your attitude from being a student to learning self defense to becoming an instructor, becoming somebody who it has turned into a lifestyle. And I think that's the key. When you teach, it becomes a lifestyle. And you do it forever. Like I said, myself, my right hand man, Steve Fitzgerald, 10th degree black belt, I've been doing this 52 years. He's been doing it 51. He remembers me as the yellow belt. And I'll tell you what, there's not many people who can say that. You start your journey with 50 people in a class, and you see, even through your ranks, people kind of fall to the wayside as time goes on. So when you see you people with your black belts, it's a lifestyle. It is. So teach. That is the best thing you can do. Be open minded. I've always taught my students. Kempo was my main thing, but try checking out your aikidos, your jujitsus, your arnis, kali. I'm a second degree black belt in arnis, and Steve is a third degree black belt in arnis, and it goes so hand in hand with kempo. Just because a stick is just an extension of your arm, so be open minded. Be open minded. You may see somebody who teaches you 10 techniques and say, I like these three. Not a big fan of those, seven. But those three are now in your arsenal, and it makes you a better martial artist. So always be open minded is, I think, the most important key. Teach, keep a smile on your face, and you need the discipline to keep it disciplined, again, for lack of a better term, but keep it a little lighthearted. When I'm teaching people, yeah, I make you laugh. I'll crack a joke. It's like, when you're doing tests and you're in a situation where you should have the discipline and the respect, you do it. But also keep it lighthearted, because I'll tell you what, you will have more people stick around in the martial arts if they get a little giggle and a little chuckle because the instructor's being funny, and it keeps them lighthearted. It keeps them lighthearted. So, have a good sense of humor and teach. Teach is the key. It truly is.
yeah, I so I had a thought or a little laugh at something that you mentioned earlier about the you kind of mirror your instructor when you start teaching, and it just made me think about the two head instructors at my school, their father and daughter, and we've recently been kind of talking about and having a laugh about uh, when we're working on a technique or something, teaching somebody a technique, and it's like, okay, well, they both say, okay, let's do it one more time, and that's usually the first of them saying, "Okay, let's do it one more time," and that's about 18 times later. It's like, "Okay, one more time or last time," and then, "Okay, we're going to do it again." And I was working with one of our white belts the other day, and I was doing the same thing. We were going over. I was teaching him a technique, and then, okay, let's just do it one more time, and then and then about
Right.
7 times later, it's like, okay, last time we're doing this. So yeah, I definitely picked up on that. So yeah, I can see see how that comes out.
Oh, sure, sure.
So with the way martial arts and kempo and whatnot are evolved, and the advent of MMA and all these other different things, what would be like your perspective on kind of the future of kempo? Where do you think it's heading? Where would you like to see it go as we go on into the future? Or observations of maybe things that we used to do that we don't do anymore that we should bring back, or just kind of the trajectory of where you'd like to see kempo go.
Well, I think, to be honest with you, because of COVID, that changed the world. It really did. And it would be nice to see some of the big tournaments, the international tournaments, like Ed Parker did, and some of the big tournaments that El Tracy did. That did seem to. It seems like a lot of the tournament factor has kind of fallen to the wayside because when COVID hit, like I said, it changed the world. I think that's very important to bring back because it exposes the martial arts in general to the normal public. And the competition is fun. It also brings camaraderie, which I think is important. As far as the one thing I've got to say, like with Jeff Speakman, I would love to see tempo into the movies a little bit more. Uh, because now it seems like when you look, a lot of the actors and martial artists, because we know who the serious ones are, they're getting older. We need to get a younger bunch of actors who are true martial artists to get out there to carry that flame, because it's cool. I mean, I don't know about yourself. Back in the day, I used to love Chuck Norris movies and Steven
Mm-hmm.
Seagal and John Claude, and of course Jeff. His movies were awesome. But Jackie Chan, of course. But I think that we need a new genre of younger people to kind of like light that fire again. I really do, because that's what I think keeps the martial arts going. When you don't see it in the movies, or even like say the cartoons back with the Ninja Turtle type of thing, if young people don't experience this and understand what it is, it's going to kind of die out. And I think by pushing that a little bit, it could really give a good boost to the martial arts again. That's what we need. I think we just need a big boost of like some young young guys who are talented, and ladies, of course, uh, to get that rolling. That's my hope. I think it would be
Very
wonderful.
nice. Yeah, no, I agree. We definitely need another perfect weapon, or only the strong if we're talking to capoeira, or
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
yeah, we definitely, there definitely needs to be another kind of pop culture milestone that gets people in, Karate Kid, maybe maybe with a Cobra Kai or something like that is uh, they can take out some of the cheesiness and put in some of the what made the original so special. You can find some of that secret sauce and get that in there and get people into the studios. So yeah, no, hopefully somebody will be inspired to make that happen, and we can get them out there on the screen, or on our phones, or whatever holograms, I guess, whatever's coming
Oh,
next.
that would be, yeah, right, exactly. Nowadays with technology, you never know. You never know.
Exactly.
But I think that would be
Right
phenomenal.
on. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move into our lightning round here as we close in
Okay.
on closing out today. So the first question that I have for you is: do you have a favorite technique?
Yes, actually, I do. There's a technique called knife of vengeance, and in fourth degree black belt, there's a technique called moment of truth. I love the way it flows. It's a very flowing technique with a takedown, chops to both sides. You're working both sides of the body. It's. When I first learned it, I was like, oh no way. After knowing it for about 3 months, I'm like, it turned into my favorite technique. I'm like, oh yeah, I could pull this off, no problem. Even knife of vengeance for a knife attack, it's it's not a super flashy technique, but I'll tell you what, if push came to shove, it's something you could pull off verbatim. Those are some of my favorite techniques, to be
Very
honest with
nice.
you.
I like it. Do you have I guess we kind of touched on this a little bit before, but do you have a favorite form and or set?
Yeah, actually, I'll be honest with you. I love Tiger and the Crane and books that I was always a big fan of. Big fan of. And the one that I had really liked, it kind of fit me, was Long Seven. When I learned that from Al, it clicked with me. I'm like 6 foot tall, 190 pounds, so it just fit my frame beautifully. So those are my
All
three.
right, I like it. All right, and then the final question: was anyone that you could train with, living or dead, fictional or non-fictional, besides Ed Parker? Who would that
Yeah.
be?
To be honest with you, I do have two. A living, I would love to train with Chuck Norris. I've never had the opportunity to meet the man in all these years. I think he is such a talented martial artist, which we all know, puts out awesome movies. But he's what I would call a fantastic role model,
Yeah, I
and I think
agree.
that's what the
I
young
agree.
people need more in this world, is a good role model. And of course, non-living, of course, would be Bruce Lee. Who wouldn't say that? After working with Ed, Al, and Joe, they all knew the man personally, and they had nothing but rave reviews. As a person, not like as a icon for
Hmm.
movies. It's just I can't even imagine. For Joe Louis, who was the best fighter I've ever seen in my life, to be honest with you, um, for him to be impressed and tell me, no, Ted, you think I'm fast? You should have met this guy. Hands down, would have been awesome. I would, that's honesty.
I like it. I like it. All right. Well, yes, I thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and chat with me. Now is your time for selfless, shameless promotion. So you can, if there's anything you want to plug or anything that you want to mention that you haven't, now is your time to do that, and then we'll close out.
Oh yeah, to be honest with you, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. If anybody is interested, the Chicago Kempo Karate Association.com. We have a family tree. If you are a Kempo artist, it doesn't cost you anything. You can send me a copy, or actually a photo of your certificate of rank, so I can verify, because I do back check. If you'd like to be added to the family tree just as a lineage thing, it doesn't cost anything. Feel free to hit the website. Also, if you have any interest in Tracy's Karate, go to www.tracyKarateWorldwide.com and ask questions. We have manuals, videos, shirts, patches, the entire thing. Please feel free. And when you do call that number, like I said, Mark actually is the head of the system. He actually answers the phone, and it's a good way to network people. So, also, if you are looking for a school in Chicago, Kempo Self Defense Studios Inc. The number is 708-385-8800. And we'd be more than willing to turn around and train you and give you any information you possibly need.
Excellent, excellent. I like it. So yeah, thank you again for being on. I can't wait to get this out for everyone to hear, and thank you for sharing your story. And I will be in touch when this is ready to go out. But yeah, just thank you so much again for being on.
Thank you very much. I truly appreciate it. And hey, keep up the good work. You're doing a beautiful job.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to My Empty Hands. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with a friend. If you didn't enjoy it, please share it with an enemy. If you'd like to be a guest, or if you would like to recommend a guest for the show, please email me at podcast@talkingkempo.com. Thank you.